To allow for the expropriation of land without compensation get underway in the Free State and Mpumalanga this morning. Parliament's Constitutional Review Committee has been travelling to all provinces.
The aim is to hear from ordinary South Africans, among others, their views on the proposed move. Now, the decision to hold public hearings follows a mandate by the National Assembly and the National Council of Provinces to determine whether a review of Section 25 and other clauses is necessary to make it possible for the state to expropriate land in the public interest without compensation. Now, there are also those who believe that land was stolen and it should therefore be returned without money exchanging hands. Others are of the view that the issue of land should be dealt with in a court of law instead of amending Section 25 of the Constitution.
So now joining us via telephone is Theo Venter, a political analyst from the Northwest University. Mr. Venter, a very good morning to you. Hearings on the amendment of the Constitution of the expropriation of land without compensation are taking place this week in the Free State and in Mpumalanga. What do you make of the participation of South Africans? Are they showing a keen interest in the debate?
Yes, absolutely. And we must remember that this is part of the compliance that the review committee must follow. Apart from written representations, it is now the time for oral representations, and I think the participation shows the climate, the feeling people are having about land. It's not all positive. There's a lot of negative, and there's also a lot of other issues being added to the land question. But I think the value of these discussions is to sense the climate on the ground.
As you say, the conversation is gaining traction. What do you make of the urgent meeting that has been called by the Zulu King in Ulundi over the Ingonyama Trust conversation?
Yeah, that's very interesting. Today they have a meeting on where to go. The Ingonyama Trust was established in 1993 by the erstwhile National Party government to provide land to KZN, and it was really done as a political measure then in 1993. It's about a third of KZN, and the issue there, it's not only the Ingonyama Trust, there are several others. As a matter of fact, all the old homelands, the land sometimes referred to in the vernacular, people talk about trusts all over, whether it's Mpumalanga or the Northwest or wherever. Those are actually all state land. And the status of that land is that you cannot own the land. You can at most have permission to occupy, a PTO. I mean, that's the status of Nkandla at this stage. You can't buy the land. You can own the land on a semi-permanent basis. And I think in the discussions about expropriation without compensation, these trust lands were added to the debate, saying that it's good and fine that we have these traditional lands, but the way in which tribal chiefs and kings and whatever you want to call them, the way in which they deal with land is sometimes a big issue, and we need to access that land also as part of the big debate about land reform.
Theo, can we make any comparison at all in terms of the concerns between private property owners and what you call trust lands?
Yes. In private property owners, you have title. In other words, you have a certain document stipulating when you bought the land, at what price, and where it is actually situated. When you have a promise or a permission to occupy on trust land, or then like in the Ingonyama Trust, you have the right to occupy, but it is also documentary material, but it is not at the same strength as a title deed.
The Parliamentary Commission led by Vincent Smith has got its work cut out for it. Do you think, what kind of time frames can we give them in terms of completing their work?
Well, it's now the beginning of July. They are going to complete the current process of hearings. Then they must, of course, consolidate their findings. Then they have to work through, my understanding is 700,000 written pieces of evidence. Now, they have a time limit of the end of August, and I just can't see how they can complete all of this. I think what we will see towards the end of August is a kind of an interim report saying we've done this and that and the other, but the following are still outstanding, and then they may ask for an extension of their mandate to provide a good and solid advice whether Section 25 should be changed or not, because that's their basic mandate.
Well, thank you very much for your thoughts. Theo Venter is a political analyst based in the North.